Hi guys. Did you miss me? It's been a hot minute. I went to Los Angeles for 4 months or so, and I didn't really have time to do this, and I kind of lost myself for a little bit, and then I graduated college in May, and that in itself, the past 5 months have been their own whatever. So here we are. I also think I tried to upload a video a couple months ago and then I just didn't like it. So it didn't feel right. Actually, I struggled for a while with the idea of like what felt right, what felt perfect and good enough to put on my YouTube channel. And then I uploaded somebody else, if you watched that, which is its own conversation about a project that took a while to actually get out there. But I mean, if you work on short films, if you work on films, you know that it takes a while to actually finish the whole process, and then you have to put it in festivals and whatnot, and then you're not supposed to, in some cases, you're not supposed to have it be public. So that's basically what happened with that. I hope you liked it. If you watched it, I know quite a few people said some nice things, so I really appreciate that. Thank you. That was in the works for like 2 years. So I'm just glad it's out there and it's done, in all honesty. But I actually just wanted to talk about the stuff that I've been going. Okay. I didn't want to say going through because I just have a tendency to downplay my own experiences and downplay that you saw me get ready for that whole spiel. Like I was about to be like, oh, it's like not that bad though. But I mean, I've just been experiencing what I think a lot of people have been going through at my age or at a similar place in their lives, which is leaving college or leaving some sort of sense of stability and awareness of where you're going and just being completely thrown into, just you don't know what's going to happen next. And there's also just like nothing. There's no clear path. There's just no clear direction. And that's where I've been for the past 5 months, I would say, because I graduated in May. And I've been going through a whirlwind of different emotions and different lessons that I've been learning. Every time I learn something and I think, okay, great, I get this now, there's like, oh, but also, by the way, there's like something else you have to understand. And that's just life anyway, isn't it? But how did we get here? I first do want to say that I'm like rebranding this. I'm rebranding the podcast and everything and all the stuff that has to do with it because I want to have like a segment that includes other people, but I also want to be able to do stuff like this. So I'm going to find a way to see that, and you'll watch me like do the changes as they come. But otherwise, we're here and we're doing this now. So hello. Yeah, the things I said, college, whatnot. I wrote some things down, some notes about this. Again, like I've been constructing or trying to construct a clear video and the things that I could talk about, but I haven't been able to put it into a proper structure. And maybe that's for the best because I'm a very mixed sort of person when it comes to these things. Like I'm very structured. I'm a Capricorn, if you know anything about astrology. We are earth signs. We're typically very grounded and rooted in structure or rules or things that are just easy to understand and are very solid rather than fluidity. But I have like other placements in my chart that make me more of a fluid person, or sometimes just a little more relaxed about things, and it doesn't necessarily work out in my favor all the time. So that's something else I've been trying to figure out lately, is how do I communicate the things that I want to say, but also give myself room for improvisation, because that's exactly what this is, and that's exactly how I function. So that's that. But I wanted to address the concept of leaving that structure of college, or maybe you just left a job or something like that. I can't really speak for that experience because I haven't had it the same way, but leaving stability and just being thrown into, well, what do I do now? Particularly in regards to college, because I've been seeing a lot of people my age, friends of mine, or like acquaintances from college, and I'm like, I feel like we're going through the same thing, but we're not really talking about it. And there's just so much uncertainty, and there's just things that nobody tells you that you just have to figure out on your own. Again, that's just life, that's just being an adult, but like, let's talk about it, because something I also really care about is the idea that human beings should be more open to discussing things that they don't normally discuss, and that people shouldn't feel like they have to do things on their own all the time, in the sense that they should feel like they should be able to communicate with their peers about it, not be like, this is just for me to deal with. Which is also just me vocalizing my own personal experience that I need to work through, because I am somebody who is very hyper independent in some ways, because I think that I can do it the best, or why should I depend on others? That's my own thing that I need to work through, but we're doing it together. So yeah, so for the past 5 months, I've kind of been in this space of navigating 3 sort of main things that I see as like important in my life. I would say like the first one is like my relationship to other people and romantic relationships, which I'm not going to get too much into in this video, but I always feel like romantic relationships are so just, they're such a deep experience, at least for me, in terms of understanding yourself and the way you navigate the world, and just, it's just very telling of a lot of things, and it's very raw and very exposing and intimate, obviously. So I'm like coming off of college and coming off of being in various romantic and like intimate relationships. I found myself back home where I am now, living back home in Thailand, and I was like, I spent a lot of time alone. I'm spending a lot more time alone, which after being in a 3-year relationship, it's a lot to have to face yourself in a different way. Again, I don't really want to get too much into this right now, but I've just had a lot of time to think and assess things, and I also have anxiety, and sometimes I overthink things, which is something that I've actually been healing a lot these past couple months. My tendency to feel a lot of like guilt and guilt in those situations. My brother quotes this. This is from like a Shawn Mendes said in like an interview once. Okay, sorry, Shawn Mendes. Okay, I'm not laughing at you. It's just, respectfully, Shawn Mendes, I do associate you with like my childhood, but also good for him. He's doing some new things now. And he said in an interview, he said something like, you know, you can't get out of a relationship, or like nobody in this life gets out without being hurt and hurting somebody else. Something like along the lines of that. And it's true. And relationships are so difficult in that way because the ending of them is never going to be perfect. It's never going to be a complete, all right, shake hands, great, business deal over, done. Because emotions are always involved, and this idea of another person mirroring you and you having to face yourself is also really involved. I want to talk a lot about that idea of how people mirror us. I guess I could talk about it now. But it's a little more complex. You've probably maybe, if you are involved in like spiritual, philosophical circles and conversations, you might have heard it before, that everybody is just a mirror of ourselves. Everyone we meet, everyone we interact with in general. And that idea is basically saying, I heard it a lot and I never really understood it. I was like, okay, sure, okay, I believe it, I guess. But I never really understood it until more recently in the past couple months. And I was like, oh, it's true. So the things that your perception chooses to highlight in conversations and interactions with other people is telling you something about yourself, not necessarily about that person. So, for instance, if you are getting in a conflict, if you find yourself in a conflict with somebody and you're very upset about something they've said to you that maybe isn't as harmful as you think it is, it's because of what it tells you about yourself. I have to try to think of a clear example here. Maybe if somebody like points out that you're lazy or something and you're insecure about the fact that you're lazy and they're not doing it in a harmful way. Let's say like a friend is like, oh, get off the couch. You've been on there for a couple days or something. I don't know. And they're trying to do it your friend is having the intention of doing this in a harmless way, but you immediately take it in such a upsetting way and you respond with aggression. That's because it's mirroring to you what you need to see inside. Oh, I actually have a lot of guilt about being lazy. Not that my friend is trying to hurt me because I'm lazy. If that makes sense. I want to expand on this more, but I feel like right now I don't have all the exact words, but that's like an introduction to that. This idea that the things that you see that are so predominant in other people that are like maybe trigger you is trying to tell you something about yourself. If I could use a more personal example, I mean like this is, yeah, it's just my family and I are very close. So I'll just put it this way, that sometimes things are said that are not meant to be harmful, but especially in the past couple months have really affected me because they were pushing me to see myself. And I feel a lot better now where I am now, but there are a lot of things that I had to really reassess, knowing that my family is not trying to purposefully say things to trigger me and anger me. They're not insulting me. They're not verbally assaulting me, anything like that. But there are things that are said that I'm like, oh, that upset me, not because you're trying to upset me, but because deep down I'm hiding the fact that that actually really is something I feel about myself. I hope this is clear. I think another way to think about it is also like sometimes people say that when you're judging somebody, when you feel like somebody's judging you, you're actually judging them. So like if you think, oh, my friend must think this and this and this about me, you don't know what other people are thinking. You are making an assumption about what another person is thinking because of how you feel about yourself. Again, I hope that's clear. It's complex. And like I said, I didn't get it at first. And I was like, how can that be true? How can that be true? My reality is real. It's in my brain. But no, your reality is not real, by the way. The concept of how the world works and the things that we tell ourselves about this has to be like this, it has to be like this. Another thing I really struggled with in the past couple months. These are things that we made up rules for ourselves. Obviously, yeah, like a tree is green or something. I feel like I've used that example before, but it's what comes to mind. Yes, a tree is green, but your perception on what that means, the way we attach meaning to the world, is ours to create. I just feel like I'm just spilling out word salad now. So I'm going to pause on that note. But I really do want to talk more about this when I feel like I can properly articulate it. Just that I think I see other people create false realities to themselves, and I think it really holds us back as human beings. like, even in the past, I'm probably still doing it, but even in the past, the way that I spoke to myself in a negative way, or the things that I told myself were true that were not true, they affected the way that I see the world. And I just think it's a waste of time. I think there's so many better things that we can be doing. That's why affirmations work. That's why affirmations being speaking positively to yourself, that's why it works. Because you are reminding yourself, or you're shifting your reality, you're changing your reality. Because our reality is based off of the things that we tell ourselves to be true. But yes, a tree will probably still be green either way, even, well, unless you're colorblind. So I can't speak on that. Sorry if that's the case. But yeah. Well, so I went on a tangent. 5 months. Romance and then career, obviously, is the other thing that I was really in my head about. I know that we all have, not we all, I mean, I can't generalize, but I think that most of us coming out of college, a lot of people that I know, friends of mine, and people who graduated from my college, had a very immediate response of, okay, now I need to, like, start my life. Now I need to get a job, blah, 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 blah. Which is fair. I know some people, like, given, like, different financial situations, okay, if you feel that you need to be put in that position, that's totally fair. But for those who don't, for those who can go and live at home, which I know also is not necessarily the most comfortable experience for everybody, I don't think we need to have everything figured out immediately. Crazy. Okay, actually, like, I think, like, we all know that, but it's, like, hard to actually feel it. Because I immediately felt, I was like, okay, yeah, like, I'm living at home, and I'm okay with it, but I'm like, but I need a job right now, and I need to do this and this and this. And I also felt so embarrassed not having a job. I think it's something that still, like, triggers in me a little bit. I would go to, like, events and stuff where I would, like, meet people, and everybody, my friends are, like, a little bit older than me, some of them, so I would go and meet people, or, like, their friends and stuff like that, and the immediate question, right, is, like, what do you do? And I'm like, nothing right now. Or, like, I didn't really know how to respond to it. You don't really know how to respond to it. I think at first I was, like, it felt safe to use college as an excuse and be like, oh, I mean, I just graduated. Like, what do I do? Oh, I just graduated. That's what I do, is just graduated. Which is fair. But then now I'm like, I just don't want to be, I don't want to be embarrassed by it anymore. It's a part of life. This is what I'm saying. This is what I meant when I said, like, these are things that no one really talked about in my experience. I feel like, at least from my perspective, from my perception, I felt that I didn't see a lot of people talk about what it was like to be in that space after college. But it happens to so many people. You're just thrown in there. And even in movies and stuff, I was like, where's the representation for this? And we're also like, surely I'm not the only one that's embarrassed by it. So that was that career. Navigating that. I'm writing now. I'm doing things. I'm trying to find space to be creative without making it about work. Because initially that's something I also struggled with, was this idea that, oh, but if I make something, it has to be worthy of work. Like, it has to be worthy of being purchased or whatever, like, you know? And I think, you know, we're all mentally driven by money in different ways. Capitalism, society, and whatnot, to simplify it. And it's unfortunate. And I did the artist's way. I don't have it. It's over there. But I did 6 weeks of it. I'm going to hop back into it when the time feels right. I also, when I was doing it, I would do like 2 weeks and then maybe sometimes like stop because I was traveling or I was doing other things with my life and it didn't feel right. But it's already taught me a lot. And I maybe want to do a video talking more, expanding on that. But The Artist Way is a book, if you don't know, that is also a workbook, like a creative program where you each week you do different tasks, you work on developing your creative side by doing different fun little activities and spending time nurturing your inner artist. It's great. I love it. It's really cool. And I agree with the stuff that's in there, and it's helped me a lot so far. So I will probably be finishing it. Like I said, I'm on either week 5 or 6, and they're 12 weeks. But what was I saying about The Artist Way? Well, I actually don't know. Creativity, nurturing my inner creative, and trying not to make it all just about money. Yeah. I know I'm not the only one who had to deal with that in some way. But I'm getting there. And what was the third thing? Romance or relationships, or career, self, I suppose. I actually don't think, when I said 3 things, I didn't even know what the 3 things were. Like, I knew the 2. I actually didn't know what the third thing was. But I knew there were 3. I guess self. In many ways, I have been working on myself and my relationship with myself, and I'm so grateful for where I am now because I was not there 5 months ago. I feel like a completely different person. And I felt like a completely different person after, like in that video where I was talking about leaving Boston. I had just gotten out of a relationship and I was finding myself, as I think I still am, as I think everybody is for the entirety of their lives, because life just keeps going and I don't think there's actually an end destination. But now I feel so much clearer, and a lot of it has been from being on my own. Alone time is so important. It really is. And if you literally see me like biting back my overshare every time, I do want to overshare. I am a person who cares a lot about vulnerability, and I feel like I am an open book. I think I probably said this on the first episode of the podcast I did with Joey. I don't really care about saying like embarrassing things. Like, I get embarrassed. I definitely get embarrassed. And when my anxiety is bad, I definitely get very hyper analytical about every single tiny little action and thing that I said. But I also just find myself just saying embarrassing things that I've done as if maybe it will make me feel lighter about it. So I am somebody who likes to overshare and just say things about myself that most other people wouldn't say. This is, again, like what I was trying to say earlier about I feel like human beings should just say stuff. Just, like, admit things about yourself that maybe you normally wouldn't. I think that it's good. I think I'm not a fan of small talk because I want to get to the nitty gritty. I want to see people just be people and be raw and real, because that's what we are, is we're all just people, and we're all on this earth just being people at the end of the day. And I feel like sometimes we lose sight of that when we get so absorbed in like social media and all this stuff. I use Instagram, so I'm not shaming you for using social media, but I would recommend decreasing your social media intake, which is also something I need to do. I've been doing better at it lately, but there were so many days when I was like rotting and just feeling horrible, just doing more and more social media. So that's that. But self, to return to that, I'm a very deeply intricate and complex person. I think everybody is. Obviously, I'm only the most familiar with my own world, but I don't share everything on Instagram or something, for instance. And I wished that I could sometimes be realer, but maybe this is the outlet for that. Because where was I going with this? Where was I even going with this? Oh, I go through a lot of things. Like I said at the beginning, I navigate a lot of different things internally, and everybody does in their own way. But I'm somebody who, when I have a challenge in front of me about myself, I'm gonna face it. If it's like, I don't like that I'm too critical or too judgmental, which is something that I didn't like about myself the past couple months, I just say, okay, then change it. If you see the computer screen just keep getting darker and then me fixing it, sorry. I was supposed to film this on a camera, but I couldn't find the camera. So maybe next time. Like I said, the setup will keep changing. But yeah, I choose to just change things about myself. And it's not without sometimes struggling with negative thoughts about myself, obviously, which I've also improved a lot over the years, which I'm very grateful for. And if anyone needs help with that, I can also talk about that more, because I do want to help people with that. Okay, this is a whole other, I can't go into just my experience in middle school and high school. That would be a much longer video. But yeah, I am much less critical now of myself than I used to be. And when I when I feel something is off about myself, I choose to just change it. And that's how it is. And I guess that's the self portion. The past couple months, I have just been changing a lot. I feel like I talked about that in past videos. I can hear my brother. Okay, I got cut off because my brother came and knocked on my door, and now the lighting is different and it's like dark outside. But yeah, those were basically the main things that I've been focusing on lately in my time outside of college, with a lot of time to think. My relationship to my career, my relationship to friendships and romantic encounters and familial relationships, etc., and my relationship with myself and how I speak to myself, how I grow and change. I'm always talking about change, I think, but I feel like it's really inevitable. I think everybody changes, just on different scales, and I feel like I change a lot. I've always felt like I'm somebody who changes a lot. So that's that for today, I think. Yeah. I really just wanted to say, for the people who are going through what I'm going through, I hope that you continue to persist and have faith in yourself and the things you're capable of, the things you want to do, the dreams you have. Life has a way of never turning out the way we think it will. It'll never be an exact replica of our blueprint, but I hope you can't hear my brother. He is singing through the walls. But yeah, have faith and go forth and be empowered. Okay, cool. I want to keep doing these, so I'll try my best. Okay, I love you. Bye. Have a good day or night or whatever.